I must have told my best friend Chloe to break up with her boyfriend about 800 times. Yet, here I am, sipping celebratory champagne at her wedding. On the big day, I, Riley, and the groom's supposed wingmen sat at the head table, discreetly scrolling through our message history. We quickly realized the shocking truth. Every single time those two fought and threatened to break up, we were the ones getting tortured. Our chat histories were terrifyingly identical. We broke up for real this time, but I still miss him. What should I do? When I finally received Chloe's wedding invitation, I let out a cold, cynical laugh, feeling like a mad concubine trapped in the cold palace. But as Chloe's childhood best friend, I still showed up as her bridesmaid. I prepared a generous gift and bought her the most beautiful wedding dress. It was a momentous day, but I couldn't manage a genuine smile. Finally, Chloe, worried, leaned in and whispered, "Riley, if you can't smile, don't. Your resting face is beautiful too." I endured the day. My best friend might be love blind, but she was marrying into an affluent, old money family and still loved me the same. When the groom's party arrived, I noticed one groomsman who looked even more miserable than I did. He seemed profoundly disapproving of the whole marriage, yet he was devastatingly handsome. He had captivating almond-shaped eyes, a sharp jawline, and a single black stud earring on his left lobe, the quintessential brooding bad boy. Dressed in a sleek suit, his rebellious aura was amplified. A bridesmaid next to me nudged me and quietly asked Chloe, "Who is that?" From Chloe's lips, I heard a name that had haunted me for years, Julian. Just as I was Chloe's ride-or-die best friend, Julian was supposedly the groom's childhood best friend. For a long time, I fiercely resented this man, second only to my hatred for the groom, Ethan. Why? Because every single time I was sure Chloe and Ethan were finally done, that smug jerk Julian would find a way to help his buddy patch things up. Then that jerk, Ethan, would slither back to my friend. He was the master strategist. Wasn't this scene exactly what he wanted? Why the sour face? Was he trying to provoke me? The bride and groom beamed, but Julian and I stared at them with identical blank expressions. After the ceremonies, I finally got to sit down. The seating arrangement, whether intentional or not, placed Julian and me side by side at the head table. The atmosphere around us was lively. The two of us were dead silent. I saw Julian scroll through his phone, then he turned his head and met my eyes dead on. Normally, strangers look away after 2 seconds, but he held my gaze. I knew he was challenging me, so I didn't back down. After a long, loud moment, I heard him speak, his voice low and husky. "I've heard a lot about you, Miss Riley." So he knew about me too. I offered a smile that didn't reach my eyes. "Hello, Mr. Julian. Your efforts were instrumental in making this wedding happen today." He arched an eyebrow. "Thank you. Yours too, it seems." I scoffed. "We're not the same." If Ethan and Chloe's path was filled with roadblocks, I was the biggest one. God knows when I started advising them to break up, I felt Ethan wasn't right for Chloe, even when they were just flirting. They dated for 5 years, a never-ending cycle of breaking up and getting back together. I was so tormented, I lost faith in men. Julian paused for a few seconds. Then I suppose I was also one of their biggest roadblocks. I turned back to him. "Aren't you the one who always told Ethan to make up with her?" Julian's face registered genuine shock. "Me? Who told him to make up? Something was wrong. Didn't you always play wingman? Why did Ethan always come back to her right after they almost broke up?" Julian looked utterly offended. He opened his phone, scrolled back 3 months, and shoved the screen at me. "Ethan, bro, I'm really breaking up with her this time. I can't do this with that heartless woman anymore." Julian, no reply 2 hours later. "Ethan, bro, I successfully proposed. Congratulate me. I'm getting married." Julian, "You'll be a woman's dog your whole life. She tugs the leash and you bark, woof, woof, woof. Being born human was clearly a mistake for you. Try to embrace the noble traits of a dog and follow your master." Julian looked at me, deadpan. Do you know how furious I was? They break up over tiny things. Who knows if they'll divorce over tiny things too? I'm going to be tormented by this couple for the rest of my life. You have no idea how hopeless I feel. I silently opened my phone, pulling up my conversation with Chloe from the same period. Chloe, "Riley, I broke up with him." Me, no reply. Chloe, This time it's for real. I don't miss him at all. Me, angry emoji. 2 hours later, Chloe. Riley, I have something to tell you. Don't be mad. I made up with him. Chloe. He proposed. Blushing emoji. I said yes. I sighed. I felt the world end that day. Julian. So you were the breakup advisor? I said, you too. We looked at each other and started comparing our chat histories. We found they were shockingly identical. Despite Julian's poisonous tongue and my cynical exhaustion, their relationship persisted. One person with a love-addled brain is scary. These are two. Julian and I looked at each other, seeing the shared agony in our eyes. Julian, we need to become sworn siblings, Riley. Two people suffering together becoming friends. Julian sighed dramatically. How long do you think they'll last? I deadpanned. Hopefully a month. We talked for hours about their on-again, off-again romance and our miserable roles in it. He was surprised to learn I worked at Tessa Company. Me too, he said. I was just transferred there. We should grab dinner sometime. The wedding was grand, but it ended sadly for me. My best friend married the man she should have dumped 800 times. I finished my champagne and returned to my life as a high-value single professional. Julian and I met again not long after on a Friday night. My department had just landed a huge contract, and the CEO yelled, "Party!" The venue was a lively bar where we could eat, drink, and dance. As I sat down, a colleague nudged me. Riley, is that handsome guy over there looking at you? I followed her gaze and met a familiar pair of captivating eyes. Recognizing me, he raised his hand in a small wave. Julian. He was wearing a black dress shirt. Every move radiated a controlled, bad boy charm. I noticed him earlier, my colleague giggled. He was watching you dance the whole time. You know him? I thought it was love at first sight. Our relationship was strictly a one-time wedding acquaintance. I didn't seek him out and he didn't approach. I looked away. A moment later, the crowd cheered. I looked up and saw that dark figure, holding a guitar, walking onto the stage. After a brief exchange, the performer handed him the mic. A guitar riff started, followed by a slightly husky, deep baritone voice, lazy yet seductive. My colleague accurately captured the feeling. He's playing a guitar and singing a song, but it feels like he's giving someone the best night of their life. I need that man's contact information. I covered her mouth. It's just a song. She just giggled. He's just too handsome. As the evening neared its end, I'd had a few too many drinks. Standing outside, I saw my two young colleagues get into their rideshare. Then I checked my own app. Subway was closed. I decided not to drive. Riley, a male voice called out a few feet away. I turned. Julian. I smiled almost instinctively. Small world. He walked closer, looking at my phone screen. After a moment, he said, "Cancel it. It's rush hour. Even if you get a ride, you'll be stuck. Let me take you home." I didn't play coy, but eyed him skeptically. Did you drink? As my best friend's husband's best friend, I should remind you about traffic laws. Julian pointed to a nearby luxury sedan with its lights on. I have a driver. I surrender to you rich people. With a car service, I immediately canceled my ride. Julian and I sat in the back. He asked for my address. Your colleagues seem very close, he commented unexpectedly. When you got in the car, did that young man look like he was worried I was a bad guy? I froze. Julian laughed softly. No, I think he likes you. I looked up at the ceiling and sighed. He's an intern I mentored last year, now full-time. I used to be so tough on him. If I were him, I wouldn't have come back. Now he's confessed to me. I'm not interested. Julian chuckled. Did you train him well? I thought for a moment. He spoke again. Everyone has their preferences. If you don't like him, keep your distance. It's normal. Is it normal to like being trained? Or is it normal to like me? Or is the world so full of abnormal people that this has become normal? We fell silent. Julian's phone kept buzzing with notifications. I remembered the girls swarming him after his song. Why aren't you checking your phone? I asked. He turned to me, opened his phone, and showed me the screen with a cold laugh. Look, your best friend's husband. Ethan text, my wife bought me new pajamas tonight. It's sad to sleep alone without a wife, don't you think? A new text popped up. I feel sorry for you, single at 26 and never held anyone. We're all concerned. I looked up from the screen at the handsome man who had captivated a crowd moments ago. Julian quickly turned the phone away, his face darkening. don't believe him. He's making it up. I replied, oh, so you must have a colorful dating life? Julian's face grew darker. No. But so many beautiful girls and handsome guys I noticed wanted your number tonight. Julian grimaced. No. Stop making things up. The car stopped at my building. Julian's phone was still buzzing. I realized how much loyalty it took to put up with Ethan for so many years. This bond was weirdly miraculous. Since that night, Julian and I started meeting more often. Our shared trauma from dealing with our love-addled friends created a quick, revolutionary friendship. Chloe and Ethan, recently married, were currently in a state of blissful, conflict-free happiness. Julian kept his promise and invited me to dinner that weekend at a Western restaurant. I wore a white dress and light makeup. Julian was already there, looking effortlessly stylish. Mid-meal, the conversation naturally drifted back to our ridiculous friends. The brief chat at the wedding wasn't enough to cover years of breakup counseling, so I asked, genuinely curious, what did you tell Ethan when his female colleague answered his phone while he was showering on a business trip? The story was ridiculous. Ethan was staying in a hotel with a male colleague. A female colleague who liked him stopped by and answered Chloe's call, vaguely saying, "He's in the shower." Chloe immediately blocked him, but they reconciled somehow. Julian was silent for a moment. I told him if he couldn't even hold onto his own phone, he might as well castrate himself, because he'd lose everything anyway. He spoke so quickly and savagely that I was momentarily stunned. Then Ethan, somehow misunderstanding me, ordered a chastity belt and gave the key to your friend. No wonder Chloe was vague when I asked how they reconciled. What about that time your friend met her high school sweetheart again? How did Ethan manage to win her back? Chloe's first love was innocent. They were barely intimate. But he came back and confessed his feelings. Ethan found out and claimed Chloe saw him as a replacement. Chloe was heartbroken. They were caught in an endless loop of love and resentment. Chloe didn't apologize, I recalled. Julian ran a hand across his forehead, visibly annoyed. Your friend got discouraged and tried to break up because my good buddy didn't trust her sincerity. Then, my good buddy proposed. I offered a perfunctory comfort. It's over now. Don't stress. But every time we met, the topic revolved around that newlywed couple, leaving us both endlessly infuriated. 2 months after Chloe's wedding, Julian and I were quite close. One rainy evening after work, I was driving when I spotted a familiar figure waiting for the rain to stop. I called Julian. Why are you waiting for the rain? Where's your car? It's being serviced, he said. All right, hop in, I'll wait. He quickly ran through the downpour and got into the car. Not completely dry, he accepted the tissues I offered. His fingertips accidentally brushed mean, a cold, damp sensation. Thank you for the ride, he said. I drove him to his place. I was slightly speechless when we reached the massive, luxurious villa. I thought I was doing well, buying my own car and getting a nice apartment thanks to my parents. Want to come in for a tour? He asked unexpectedly. I live alone. I turned to look at him and realized the rain had soaked his white shirt, making it slightly transparent. The fabric clung to him, highlighting his defined chest muscles. He apologized. Sorry, I might have gotten your car seat wet. I shifted my gaze back to his face. It's fine. I might even thank you. The villa was gorgeous. I couldn't resist. Inside, Julian headed upstairs to change clothes. I watched him go, noting his broad shoulders and strong back as he took off the wet shirt. He soon returned in a tight black turtleneck and an apron. It was a stylish look that, paired with the apron, was intensely captivating. The ultimate controlled dom aesthetic. He cooked with practiced ease, serving dinner in half an hour. Since I was driving, I didn't touch the wine. He smiled. You can take 2 bottles home later. I collected myself. He looked seductive while cooking. He looked even more seductive while smiling. I absolutely refused to admit I was having impure thoughts. After dinner, Julian invited me upstairs to see his telescope. The night sky, after the rain, was unusually clear. As I focused on the stars, I suddenly realized the sound of breathing was very close. I turned. Julian's face was inches away. What cologne are you wearing? I asked, completely out of the blue. Why are you asking? It smells good. Julian was silent for a moment. I realized complimenting someone on how they smell good was flirting. Just as I was about to apologize, my gaze fell on his lips, beautiful and full. The words I intended to speak changed. "Your lips look very kissable." The next second, he leaned in and our lips met. My head exploded like fireworks. I lost all ability to think, but the sensation was magical. Julian pulled away for a fraction of a second, looking at me as if to speak. I leaned in again. This time, neither of us said a word. The balcony was quiet, save for the sounds of the night and our kissing. Two sober adults trading a confusing kiss in the darkness. Suddenly, my phone buzzed. Chloe. I pushed Julian away, catching my breath, and checked the message. Before I could read it, Chloe called. Riley, her low voice asked, "Do you think men get cold after marriage? Ethan won't even cuddle me to sleep anymore." Right next to me, Julian's phone lit up with a barrage of messages. He frowned, checked his phone, and showed me the screen. Oh my God, 2 months of marriage. Half of that was the honeymoon, and I've been working overtime, nonstop. I fell asleep while she was showering last night. Now my wife says I don't love her like before. I'm being framed. Chloe was still on the line. I carefully managed my tone. Maybe he's just stressed and tired, Chloe. Why don't you try to show some interest in his work? Chloe paused. Really? You're defending Ethan now? Have you finally changed your mind about him? The call lasted over 10 minutes. When I hung up, Julian had put his phone aside. I glanced at his screen and saw his reply to Ethan. Take some medication then. Ethan had sent several long voice messages, which Julian hadn't listened to. Seeing me look at him, Julian said, I don't need medication. Who asked you? In the aftermath of that uncontrollable moment, I felt too exposed to look at him. The next day, Julian cornered me in the underground parking garage. Riley, he said, looking intense. Who said you could kiss a man and then start avoiding him? Are you trying to use and dump me? I choked. You initiated it, I argued, looking around nervously. He lowered his head, his handsome eyes shimmering with an emotion I couldn't read. He smiled lightly, but you initiated the second time, and the third. You move, I move. Isn't that fair? I kissed you because I like you. Why did you kiss me back? His directness stopped my heart. I backed up until the car pressed against my spine. He blocked me in, his arm resting on the car next to my head. Julian, I whispered, this isn't good. What if we break up? We'll have to see each other forever. Julian laughed. We haven't even started dating and you're planning the breakup. Who taught you to be so negative? They tortured us for so long. When we break up, we'll torture them back. As I was about to argue, Julian abruptly leaned in and kissed me. In the secluded garage, with the distant sounds of people, I struggled for air. I finally pulled away. Julian, someone might see us. The next second, his hand wrapped around my waist and grabbed the door handle, opening the door and pushing me inside. He stood in the doorway, leaning in, and softly kissed me one last time. So, is it okay to kiss now that no one is here? He asked, eyebrows raised, a look of untamed charm. Before I could process what happened, Julian got into the car with me. He looked straight into my eyes. Riley, date me. The lipstick stain on his mouth made his lips look redder and glossier. My rational mind screamed caution, but when he leaned in again, I couldn't push him away. You really don't want to date me? I just want to kiss my girlfriend. I managed to stabilize my breathing. What if I say no? A lover will do. I looked into his smiling eyes and realized, handsome men are a disaster. Julian wasn't burdened by the question of liking. When he truly wanted something, he used those beautiful eyes. Riley, please. If I don't hear you say you like me, I'll die of frustration. Julian knew he was gorgeous, and he fully leveraged it. I touched his face, tracing the black stud earring on his left lobe. When did you get that piercing? A long time ago. College. Thought it looked cool when I was in the band. It was cool, just a little too much like a bad boy. When Chloe's text came in, I was sitting on Julian's lap, wrapped up in his embrace. I gently pushed him away to check my phone. It was the same post-marital triviality. This time, Chloe was being pressured by Ethan's aunts and uncles to have a baby. I punched him lightly. Waiting for Julian to look up, I glared. I spoke to Chloe on the other end of the line. "Where is Ethan? What did he say?" Chloe stammered. I haven't told him yet. If I tell him, won't it sound like I'm bad-mouthing his elders?" "Tell him! This is his battle to fight." After the call, I was still simmering. I glared at Julian. "Your friend is utterly useless." Julian poked my cheek. "Riley, who am I?" "Julian." He nodded. Why the collateral damage? The family conflict was clearly starting to spread. Under my intense gaze, Julian reluctantly grabbed his phone and sent his best friend a cryptic message. "Julian, you are useless." "Ethan, question mark emoji." "Julian, an entire group of people is bullying your wife right under your nose, and you have no idea. Why do I have a useless friend like you?" This time, Julian was genuinely angry. He tossed his phone and pulled me into a hug. "You're right. He is useless." Thanks to Julian's two pointed remarks, Ethan finally learned what his wife had been enduring. He marched Chloe back to the family gathering and intentionally found ways to embarrass his aunts, uncles, and their children. Chloe finally got her revenge. She called me afterward, "Riley, I love you. You saved me this time. I asked someone to send you a designer bag check if you like it. Otherwise, exchange it." She paused, sounding slightly embarrassed. Ethan said Julian is notoriously venomous. If he says anything harsh, please don't take it personally. Venomous? I realized Julian's venom was almost exclusively aimed at the newlywed couple, especially Ethan. My voice was muffled, slightly guilty. "I won't. No worries." Our friendship with Chloe hadn't actually cooled. We simply had different focuses now. After getting together with Julian, I noticed that the timing of Ethan and Chloe's distress messages strangely always coincided. We were both so exhausted by their chaos that Julian and I were brutally honest with each other. Sometimes, we'd compare their fights and find it was always the same scenario. She didn't say, he guessed wrong. We were dangerously close to becoming accidental marriage counselors. But that night, my phone rang. I blindly reached out and answered it. Chloe rattled off a few recent events, then abruptly asked, "Riley, what's wrong with your voice? You sound weird." "I'm fine, just sleepy." The call ended quickly. Julian looked up, kissing his way down my neck, making me gasp. He buried his face in my skin and chuckled. "Are we having a secret affair?" Julian was a quick learner. His initial awkwardness was gone. Now he was smooth, even enjoying playing romantic games. When our two friends fought again, I heard Ethan complaining to Julian over the phone. "My wife is so moody lately. She's worried about hair loss and gaining weight. She's still beautiful though," Chloe told me. "I don't know why, but lately, just looking at him annoys me." She continued, "Riley, is the honeymoon phase over? Am I a terrible person for being so irritated?" It's not too late to realize that now, I thought. I told her to think carefully about the marriage. The tired phase is normal. It's not dating anymore. I advised her to consider everything carefully. This consideration lasted 2 months. Then, Chloe called, sounding slightly bashful. "Riley, I'm pregnant. Unexpected, but I guess it makes sense." Julian immediately found a reason to chew out Ethan. "Ethan, what did I do to you to deserve this?" Ethan's desperate voice rang out from Julian's phone. "My wife is making me guess, and now you are too. I don't have psychic powers." No one cared about their bickering until that evening. After working late, Julian drove me home to my condo, 1 apartment per floor. As we stepped out of the elevator, Julian leaned down for a kiss. We kissed and walked a few steps when I suddenly felt something was wrong. I pushed Julian away and found myself face to face with Chloe and Ethan standing right outside my door. A pregnant Chloe pointed at the large bags in Ethan's hands, slightly embarrassed. "I thought you were working late, so I prepared some frozen meals for your fridge. Just heat them up." Julian and I were perfectly suited for each other, but we had never told our friends about our relationship. Ethan pointed at his best friend. You. Julian raised an eyebrow. "What? Never seen people dating before?" Ethan retorted quickly. "Never seen a dog dating before." Julian sneered. "Coincidentally, I have." After their exchange, all 4 of us felt scolded. Chloe was astonished. She later pulled me aside and asked, "When did Julian and I start dating?" I told her. She mused. "No wonder last time Ethan wanted to set you up." Julian made such a fuss. It wasn't just that. Julian was primarily offended because he wasn't on Ethan's list. Julian smirked, sending the couple off, then sat down next to me and pulled me into his arms. I asked, "You kept looking at Chloe's bump? Thinking about being a dad?" "No, just thinking Ethan is so unreliable and he's about to be a father. It's weird." I leaned in close and whispered, "Want to fast-track that experience for yourself?" He looked down at my stomach. The next second, I whispered in his ear, "Daddy?" Julian's eyes darkened instantly. He raised an eyebrow and scooped me up from the sofa. "Then, be Daddy's good girl tonight," I whispered back. "Okay,